Hello, crafting friends. I'm Doreen DeCebus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stamping Sunday. I'm sorry that I wasn't on last week, but thank you for your understanding. I just needed to do some things before school started, and it just wasn't going to work out, so I appreciate your understanding from last week. And luckily, we have 5 weeks, 5 Sundays in August, so we didn't really miss out for anything. So that's awesome. So tonight is week 4 of Prairie Grass, and I've had so much fun with this set, and I hope you enjoyed the cards that we've been doing. Tonight we are going to do 3 fun folds, so let's get started. Oh, and by the way, I am using With You in Mind for one card for the sentiment, Notes and Totes for another one, and I'm using a hello from a stamp set, and I'm not quite positive which set it is. I had it on my desk and I don't know which one it is, so here we go. All right. Our first card is more like a fall card, and that's where I'm using the hello. So it's like a fun flip fold. So you open up this flap, and then that flap, and you have a place to write your message. And then I made this, there's nothing else on it. So if this is not enough room to write your message, then you're going to want to put a piece of basic white cardstock or neutral on the back so you have more space to write. Okay, let me show you how we do this. Put that aside. So for cardstock, you are going to need a piece that measures 4 1/4 by 7 1/2, and we're going to score this at 5 1/2. So I've scored everything else. I'm not sure why I didn't score this one, but we'll do that right now. And then we have a piece that's 3 by 8, and we're going to score that at 4. We're going to have 3 pieces of designer series paper. The first one measures 4 by 5 1/4. This one measures 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And this one here measures 4 by 1 3/4. And then we have some white pieces to put the designer series paper on. So this one measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. This one measures 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. And this one measures 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And this one measures 1 7/8 by 4 1/8. Okay, let's get started. I think what I'm going to do is start with my stamping. So I'm just going to get out a piece of scrap paper that I've already been stamping on, because yesterday I didn't use scrap paper, or I started to not use scrap paper, and I ended up getting black ink everywhere, and then I got black ink on my cards, and so we're going to try to be a little bit more careful today. So this is the only piece of designer series paper that's going to be stamped, and we're going to start by stamping some of the grass. I have just been obsessed with using this stamp on designer series paper. It's just so quick and easy to make a beautiful background with it. So I am going to just stamp 3 of these. And then I'm going to grab the next stamp, and we're just going to stamp 1 of these. And this is going to go higher than the grass. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining. There we go. And if we want to fill in some of that empty space, we can. You don't have to, but I'm going to. And I'm just going to do that in 2 places. And then finally I'm going to stamp the hello up at the top of the piece of paper. And then finally, the smaller piece, we're going to stamp inside as well, just to tie it all together. So I'm going to use this stamp. And there we go. This fold is so easy to put together. You'll see in just a moment how fast it's going to come together. So I'm going to start with these papers and mount them on their coordinating pieces of basic white cardstock. So this is all the same piece of paper. Actually, I think I had to use 2 sheets of paper for this. But it's the same design. Okay, there's our first one. And I used both sides of it, so this is the back side of it, and these both are the front side. Just love having that little bit of white showing through. Okay. Gonna give both of these a nice burnish. This piece is going to go on the front of it. I love fast and easy fun folds, because as I've said before, fun folds are my favorite kind of card. Now, this is definitely a card that you're just sending to send a short greeting, unless you want to put a letter in it, or, as I said, add another piece of basic white to the back so that you have enough space to write a message. But this is great if it's just going to be, you know, a little thinking of you note. Hi, Roz. Thanks for joining. Okay, so we've got those. Now let's go to this. We're going to give this a nice burnish as well. On the front, we're going to put this little piece. I thought this really looked like a card that could be fall at the beach, which that's like really my favorite time to go to the beach. And this is going to go inside. And then I'm going to put extra adhesive on the back of this so that it will stay in place, because it's going to be the main focal point of the card, and it's going to be lifted a lot. And so when I put this on, I am just going to center it on this back panel. And then when I close it, that goes in there. And there we have our first card of the night. Our second card we're going to be using, let's get everything out. This is our second card. It is a front fun flap fold. So it just flaps open like this, and then it also opens like this. So you've got the two flaps. You could do this just on a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock and not have the card open up, but I like having the two flaps on it. I think it looks nice. All right, so for this card, we have a piece of 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 thick basic white cardstock. We have a piece of 3 7/8, so 3 by 3 7/8 basic white. We have a little 1/2 inch strip of just a scrap. I have a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 piece of Lost Lagoon. And then I have a 5 by 3 1/4 piece of Lost Lagoon, and it's scored at 1 inch here. And then I just need one piece of designer series paper, and I'll show you what we're going to be doing with this. It is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So I am going to stamp on this whole piece, and then we're going to actually do some cutting to it so that we get these two pieces, because we want there to be that continual design going across the card. So let's get out my paper. I am going to be using all 3 stamps on this one, so I'm going to start with the grass. Whoops, wrong one. So I'm going to go off the paper here, and then I'm going to leave a space. Good catch. I have been getting black ink all over myself this weekend. Okay, there's that one. Now let's get like the pipe cleaners. And I'm going to go right in between. So we'll just have this continual pattern. And you can see I've used these 2 stamps 3 times. So that's what it looks like so far. And now I'm going to grab my large one. This one I'm going to go up and down. This one is higher than the paper, so it's this piece is not going to fit the whole stamp. So I'm going to be going at different heights for this one. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to go a little lower so I get the top of the stamp. And there we go. So that is what that looks like, using each stamp 3 times. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut an inch off each side. So I'm going to start with my left side, take an inch off, and then go, to start with my right side and take an inch off. And then I'm going to my left side and I'm going to take an inch off. And then here's my middle piece. All right. So let's burnish this. And then this is where our flap is going to be. So I'm going to set that aside for a moment, and I'm going to burnish that 1 inch edge. And this is going to be going over this piece. And I can see that it's not folding perfectly, so I'm going to take just a tiny bit because I do want it to fit perfectly. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit off, like a 1/16 of an inch. There we go. And now when I put this on, it's going to go right down to the bottom. So I am going to actually use this to help me measure. I'd like to be about an inch on either side. So I'm just going to move that. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm just going to open this up and get some liquid glue, because I can move it a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to just burnish that. And now I have my front flap. So this is going to go on the front of the card. Here it is. Not even. That's why I try not to press it down right away. So I want this to start with this side, because this is what's making the difference. Where it's not. There we go. Okay, so now we can just start putting all of our pieces on. So this piece goes right here on the front. Again, trying to line that up evenly. This piece is going to go on the left side. You definitely want to put these pieces in before you put your middle piece in. Really makes a difference. Well, this seems a little too long. Must have been because of that piece I cut off. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And then we'll put the right side over on the right side. So now when we close that, you can see that the design lines right up. So now I'm going to stamp my greeting on the inside, and I'm going to use Lost Lagoon for this. I actually think I might use Lost Lagoon on the front. Didn't do that yesterday, but I will today. So this is just a best wishes card. This piece will go on the inside. I have to fix it for that 1/16 of an inch I cut off. There we go. Okay, so that's done, and now let's stamp our Just a Note. A little too high. Let's get it more centered. Much better. And for this one, I am going to trim right here and here. Grab a sheet of dimensionals. And I'm going to have this hang over, so I'm putting the dimensionals side by side. And here is our second card. I really like that being with this. And there we go. Card number 2. Okay, card number 3. We are going to use Night of Navy. So we have a piece of Night of Navy that measures 5 1/4 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. We have another piece of Night of Navy, which measures 5 1/4 by 4, I believe. No, 4 1/4 by 5 1/4, and it is scored at 2 inches. Yes, 2 inches. And then we have a piece of Designer Series paper that measures 4 by 4 3/4. Another piece that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And a piece of white that measures 4 by 5 1/4. I have a scrap of 3/4 of an inch white and 3/4 of an inch blue, and Night of Navy, and I scored that at 1 inch. And then our final piece of white is 4 by 1 3/4, and this is the card we're going to make. So it's relax and enjoy. And then on the inside, it looks like that. So another one that we're kind of matching things up a little bit. Okay, so let's get started on this one. Okay, we're going to do our stamping first. So on this one, I am going to take the Relax and Enjoy, and I'm only going to ink up the Relax. I'm going to be trimming this down, so I'm just going to put it right in the middle. Okay, there we go for that. And then I am going to clean this, because for the next part, I'm only going to be inking up the and enjoy. And that's going to go on this more narrow piece of paper. So when I do this, I just go to the very end of my ink pad, and because this is a polymer stamp set, I'm able to see exactly what I'm inking up. So here will be the and enjoy. So it's a way you can take a longer greeting and split it up into 2 parts on your card. All right. Next, we're going to be stamping on our smaller piece of designer series paper. And there we go. Just like that. So I am going to take, actually, I think I am going to take Light Out of Navy for this one. I've been using too much black. So let's just get that black ink off. There we go. And I'm just going to be going across the front of the designer series paper. And with it being Night of Navy ink, it's going to kind of give a blackish look as well. This time I am going to have these go up and down, because it's just going to look like they're sitting in different places on the marsh. Go a little higher on this one. There we go. An iron, well, I guess I could put some grass through. Let me just clean this one off too. So how does everyone feel about Stampin' Up discontinuing their rubber stamps? I have to be honest, makes me sad, because I am definitely a rubber girl. I love the rubber stamps. So this just makes it fuller at the bottom. There we go. And we're done with our stamping. All right, so let's start. Oops, we're not quite done with our stamping. Let's stamp a piece on this. Set that aside. grab the navy again. Put that right there. And now we can put this inside the card. Okay, that's the inside. We're going to take our big piece of designer series paper, well, bigger piece, and put this on the front. I'm going to put this on the inside. And now I'm going to cut a piece off of this. So I'm just going to cut 1 3/4 of an inch off. This is going on the outside. This piece is going to go on the inside. All right, now for this, I'll show you in the original card, I don't want this piece to go all the way over. So when I fold it and burnish it and put this on, you can see it's going to go almost all the way over. And I want this to come out and just be, just show a little bit of the navy. So I'm going to cut this so that there's a little bit of space on both ends of the relax. I think it's going to be about 2 inches, maybe just a little less. I'm going to put this, these are the same width, so I'm going to put this on so there's just a tad of blue showing on the right hand side. And then I'm going to cut this so there's just a tad of blue showing on the left hand side. There we go. And we got a little too much. Alright, so this is going to attach behind this piece. So I'm going to get that glue again so we can move it. Have a little bit of movement as we're putting it on. That looks good. There we go. And I'm going to add, again, a little extra adhesive. And this is going to be centered right on the front of the card. All these paper scraps out of the way. Okay, so there is card number 3. Card number 1. And card number 2. And that is week 4 of Simply Stamping Sunday with the Prairie Grass Set. So do you have a favorite? I don't know. I kind of like them all. It's hard. They all just are so, they're so similar because they're using the same stamp set, but they're so different with their colors and what was stamped. So I like them all. So next week we are going on to a new month and a new mini catalog and online exclusives. Let me just reach over and, oops, I don't, there it is. This is the stamp set we will be using for the month of September. So it's called Gathering Moments. It's a brand new stamp set. It has some small leaves and a mushroom, just a bunch of different things, some little background stamps. It has for sentiments, many thanks, your friendship means the world to me, gather, thankful for you, expressing heartfelt gratitude. It is a cling stamp set, and it has dies, but of course we won't be using the dies. It has those really large leaves. I've got to figure out how I'm going to use those. But this is the stamp set that we will be using for the month of September. So thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate that, and please have a wonderful Labor Day tomorrow, and of course a beautiful week. And I'll be back Friday night for Fun Filled Friday, and I'll be back Sunday night for a new month of Simply Stamping Sunday. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.